So I went with a cat eye polish that, when my hands are absolutely freezing cold, is this really dark purple, little gold stripe. But now I don't think we'll do this in real time because, quite honestly, I have neuropathy and this finger might stay that color. But the others, let's see how long this takes, shall we? Oh, the thumb's changing. Maybe a little light on it. Might help. This finger is actually painfully cold. It's been 3 minutes. Some of them are starting to change, but it's so slow because I have neuropathy. Some of the conditions I have, they reduce the amount of blood flow to the extremities. Ooh, another one I have is POTS. And I stood up a little too fast. Whew. That's a blood pressure issue, so it's related. But anyway, my hands are too cold. I've got to put them under warm water real fast. There we go. Nice and toasty warm. And they're green. So they are a green to purple color changing. See, this one's, the tip's cooling off now because it's not as warm anymore. And it's a very minute temperature shift. Like it's based on like your body temperature. So what's interesting about my conditions is I have poor temperature regulation. My body is not good at responding correctly to the correct temperatures. So I end up sweating when it is freezing, and I end up with needing 3 sweaters and a heater in the summer, just because my body can't regulate its own temperature. This can actually get pretty dangerous with some of my conditions, especially with the combination of POTS and BP. BP is bullious, and then it's a P word that I have no way to pronounce. My mouth does not want to make that sound yet. So, um, one of those, if I am in temperatures of 80 or above for too long, I start to get the blister condition. That got me kicked off TikTok. It's a skin condition where you're basically the connective tissue of your dermis and your dermis and your epidermis. Um, and those connective tissues that keep the two layers of skin together, they get switched by your immune system, and they start to turn into more of a solvent. And then what happens is they attack the hair follicles. And what that does is make a damaged hair follicle with a blood supply and an open space between the dermis and the epidermis. Most people get really big blisters. I, however, also have Ehlers-Danlos, so I have very fragile skin. And that means that I got lots of little tiny blisters that all joined together. And they have started leaving these scars. I never really had a lot of scars before. But fortunately, the redness does fade, but they take a very, very long time to heal on me. In fact, this one, I believe, it started around April or May of last year. Now this one was a problem because it was so large and it did get infected. I was able to treat the infection myself, but some of them I have to be really careful. This actually, I don't think is one. My skin is so sensitive that there was a new pair of leggings, and the seam allowance was not laying correctly on this part of my leg. I had to get a lot of new clothes because the new diet made me lose about 70 pounds. And this was just from a simple inside of a pop fit legging. My skin is so fragile that it takes nothing to bruise or break. And then it takes a long time to heal. And then on top of it, if I get hot, oh yeah, frivolity. If I get too warm, not only does that activate and my skin starts to fall off, which is where I got these scars and this scar and this scar. I never had facial scars. I did have this little guy, this little thing. It showed up when I was about 11, I think. But, and I do have a pierced nose. I don't know if it's still pierced though, because I have scar tissue all along my nose and my cheeks. But most of the time they don't scar too bad. The scars I have are because I went 7 to 9 months without a diagnosis. And it was painful. It was agony. It was my entire face. And I didn't know what I would look like when I healed. I have facial scars, and I'm sure I'll have more. I used to be pretty vain. I mean, I didn't flaunt it. I didn't use it to my advantage. I was vain because it was how I survived. My beauty got me through life. And it may not be how I wanted it. But I understood that it was the one thing I was given that helped me make it to this point. I had a lot of fear of losing my beauty because it was my safety net. And I don't need that safety net. Not anymore. I appreciate the fact that I was born beautiful. But then I think everyone is. And my nails are awesome.